And we're live on the Drink and Click show. This is episode 12. My name is Juan Gonzalez. I'm the founder of Drink and Click. And we're joined tonight by an excellent guest, Vivienne Gucwa. Hopefully I didn't mess up your last name.
No, that was very good.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And we also are joined by an excellent panel and the beautiful Lotus. Lotus, you want to introduce the panel?
Yes, I do. I'm going to start with Mandy Sloan.
Hi.
Hey, girl. How's it going?
Good. So my name is Mandy Sloan, and I'm a people photographer, portrait photographer. Do mostly kids and families. Do a little bit of medical stuff. You can find me on G+, Facebook, Tumblr, and MandySloan.com has all of those links.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks for being on the show tonight, Mandy. Okay, up next, we've got Patrick Kelly.
Hey, gang. I'm Patrick Kelly. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Computer geek during the day, trying to pay for my photography habit, which I picked up over the last couple of years, and kind of don't have a drinking click in this area, so I got involved with it by traveling out to meet Lotus and Juan in Austin last year, and that's kind of how I got involved and got to shoot with everyone and meet some of you guys. So it's been a blast, and I look forward to tonight's show.
That was fun. You're going to have to come visit us again.
I will. That was a good time.
Yeah. And thanks for being on tonight.
Oh, you bet.
Okay. Up next, we have Tyson Jerry.
Hello. So, just like Patrick, I also have a day job. I'm a development manager for an alternative fuel company. So we provide natural gas technology for a Ford Motor Company.
Nice.
And I am a photographer by night. So I've been doing lots of weddings and special events, and then I just like to dabble in landscape photography too as well.
And you're up there with the Vancouver chapter, right?
I am up there. I am in Canada.
Well, Vancouver is so fun. They have such a good group of people over there.
We do. It's actually a little bit too much fun, to be honest.
So other than Google Plus, where can we find you online?
You can find me everywhere. TysonJerry.com for starters.
All the things. TysonJerry.com. That's easy to remember. Okay, thanks for being on tonight. And now let's dive in and learn all about Vivienne Gucwa.
I know, Vivienne. I have so many questions for you, and actually the first one is like, how did you get into the street photography, into the cityscapes and landscapes, and when did you decide to pick up a camera and just move forward with that?
Well, the answer to all those questions is the same one. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to put myself back into school and go to med school on a whim. It was very stressful, and to kind of cope with the stress, I went on Amazon and I looked for the cheapest camera I could find because I was completely broke, and I found a camera that was like $79, and I would take it on my walks around New York City because walking is free. So I would just kind of walk around, take photos, and I kind of amassed this enormous collection of photos, and I wanted to view them, and I knew absolutely nothing about the internet or blogs, but like I had heard somebody tell me that a blog would be a great place to put photos. So I literally Googled the word blog, and Tumblr came up as the first result because Tumblr had just been released.
Yeah.
And I made a Tumblr. I called it nythroughTheLens.com, and I started putting my photos up there. Again, it was just for me, and it was just strictly so I could see them in one place in a prettier format than just in like all these file folders. And like over the course of a few months, I amassed this large amount of followers. It was really weird, and I couldn't understand why people were following me. I didn't know what to do with it, and people would message me about my photos, and then a lot of really lucky things happened, and med school kind of slipped away, and I started doing photography more and more. I upgraded my gear, and that's kind of the short summary of everything.
So curious, what was the $79 camera you bought?
It was like a really no frills point and shoot. Like, I don't even know. I mean, it literally had like one button. Like, you couldn't do anything really too much with the settings except crank like contrast, I think.
Yeah.
And it was really funny actually, because a lot of the earlier photos I took, there was something wrong with the camera, and I kind of had to work with what was wrong with it. So it would oversaturate some colors and desaturate some colors sometimes, and certain light. And I mean, it taught me a lot about light looking back in retrospect, but it was kind of frustrating at the time. But yeah, it was a super no-frills camera with really no capability aside from, like, you know, pointing at things and taking the photo.
Do you happen to remember what was the first thing that you photographed that you felt passionate about it and say, okay, this is what I like to photograph? Or
Well, I mean, the first few photographs I took, so it coincided to when I moved to the neighborhood that I live in now, which is the Lower East Side. So the first few photos that I took were my neighborhood in the summer, because I kind of wanted to capture how magical everything felt for me, having just moved to this really great historic neighborhood. And just being able to capture the light and the way that everything looked was really magical for me, because I had never really kind of thought about photography as a very serious art form before that. You know, I appreciated photography, but I don't think I really understood the power of photography until I started actually taking photos. So I would say that would be the point, maybe.
it is funny because I have two similar, or not similar, but two experiences that I have. Once when I went to Europe back in 2004, and I took a point and shoot. I remember it was a Canon point and shoot, and I took some pictures, and I just started going like, this is just beautiful. I went to Spain, Italy, and France, and it was just, I started looking at the pictures, and I was like, that's not bad. I mean, it's something that I can get into it, and I always enjoyed the photography thing. And then after my kids were born, that's when I started getting more into portraiture. But it's just like something, you pick up a camera, you find something you like, and then you stick with it, and maybe you try a few other things, but you know what your passion is.
Yeah.
So it's just very exciting. And also, you are part of, you being selected to be part of the Sony Artisan of Imagery. I hope I said it okay. And how many photographers are in that group?
I believe I'm the 9th worldwide currently. So there were 8 before me, and I'm now number 9.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Congratulations! Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's also new still, so I still feel kind of like overly giddy about it, and kind of like everything's super surreal. Like, wow, really? Oh. But yeah, I'm really excited.
I will be too. Even if Plato comes and tell me you are the Plato Artisan of Imagery, and I have to make some Plato with it, I will be giggling too. So it's very nice. I'm just very excited for you, and it's just so nice to have you on the show. Just to have one of those nice people.
Thank
to
you.
be on the show. So you came back, what was it, a month and a half ago from Paris?
Yeah, a month and a half ago from Paris, and then I also went to Martinique 2 weeks ago, and I just got back from there, and I'm actually heading back to France on Sunday morning for almost a month.
I saw all your beautiful, very beachy and relaxing photos from Martinique. You looked like you were having such a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
France, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, dude, she's traveling like crazy. It's awesome.
I mean, I'd never been anywhere tropical before that, so that was just kind of like complete overload. In fact, I have so many photos from the trip, but I've been trying to prep for this really long trip that I'm about to go on, so I haven't even like fully gone through everything yet, but I'm like dying to go through the images because it was just it was really magical. I keep overusing that word.
Tell us how you got into travel photography, because for a long time you've been shooting around New York, and you've had really, you've been known for your New York photos and your beautiful kind of poetic writing that you do and often pair with your photos. But you've kind of gone a little bit on this different path now where you're doing a lot of traveling. So how did you get into that?
I mean, I've always wanted to travel. It's been my biggest dream. I mean, I think a lot of people who get into photography at some point kind of have that dream in their head of maybe I could travel one day, but it just seemed kind of like a fantasy for a while, and
which is why it's so magical now.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's very exhausting, but I mean, at the same time, I'm super pumped that I get to do this. But basically, a lot of opportunities happened. So it actually kind of links back to how I met Sony. So when I upgraded my gear from the really crappy point and shoot that I was using, I asked a really good friend of mine, you know, like, what should I upgrade to? I knew nothing about photography. I knew nothing about the world of photography. And you know, he was like, you know, Sony's doing a lot of really innovative things. You know, everybody else has a Canon and Nikon. Sony would be cool. So I was like, cool, I'll go for Sony. And so actually Lotus, when Lotus had asked me to speak on a panel with her a few years ago, and I had never spoken publicly before. In fact, all of my experiences prior to that resulted in like crippling stage fright and like just really traumatic experiences, and I didn't really want to do it, but I didn't want to say no, and I love Lotus, and I thought it sounded like a great thing. I'm like, I can't pass this up. So I totally did that. I spoke on the panel. It went really well. I loved every second of it.
You were awesome.
And it turned out that somebody who attended the conference was there from Sony and had really enjoyed our panel, and then had learned that I was already a Sony shooter, which at the time was a lot like being, I like to say, a unicorn, because back then, you know, barely anybody was shooting Sony professionally, and so we kind of got in contact, and then through her, I started doing a lot more things with other Sony cameras, and I kind of got the opportunity also to speak for Sony and travel. So some of those experiences involved traveling to conferences, and I really loved it. So like I would travel to the conferences, I would do the speaking gig, but I would also take a ton of photos, and I was like, wow, I really wish I could turn this into a job.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know how to go from point A to point B. It just seemed really kind of obtuse. And so I met a really great group of people through Sony. It was called the Sony Club. It was a program that they ran last year. It no longer exists right now. But it was a group of bloggers, not necessarily photographers, but bloggers from almost every aspect of blogging. So travel, fitness, there were mommy bloggers, there were people focused on YouTube, and we all met up and we went away together. And just from talking to a lot of the people who did travel blogging and travel writing as a career, I realized that it was something that I could totally pursue. So basically after that, last year, I overhauled everything in terms of what I wanted to do, and through pretty much those people, especially Carroll Kane, who has an amazing blog. Her blog is Girl Gone Travel. Through her, I got introduced to the people that I've been working with now. It's A2 France, so they're the official French tourism agency for the French government, and they're a great group of people, and that's how I got to go to Paris and Martinique and how I'm going to the south of France, and through kind of that experience, I also started building other connections with other clients and other PR firms and people who deal with travel. So things just kind of blossomed, you know, from a definite series of circumstances.
That is just beautiful. It's like that would be my dream job, just to have something that you can travel and take pictures and speak about what you do and the gear you use and everything. It's just
You went through a lot of not giving up when times were hard to get to that point, and then I liked what you said at the beginning. You were making yourself do something that you knew would be good, maybe outside of your comfort zone. You were scared, but you did it anyway, and kind of dominoed for you.
Oh yeah, in fact, earlier this week, and this is so relevant to this conversation, I met with Karen Hutton, who's an amazing photographer, and I'm sure you guys all know her. And we talked, and she had brought up, I had made a post like 2 or 3 years ago about the difficulty of making money off photography or anything online. And that was like pretty much, I was at a point where I had done so much. I was so completely broke. There were tons of tears shed. I mean, I went through the ringer, complete ringer, and I was just ready to throw in the towel. And I made this really passionate, sad post about like all the things I had tried, and like there's no success here, and no one can do anything online, and blah blah blah. And it ended up getting like 200 comments or something on Google Plus from like people who were successful, people who were like, wow, I totally feel the same way, and no one ever talks about that, and they were really happy. And so it's really interesting that, you know, even today, like, people still email me about that post because they find it when they search on Google about like making money off photography or whatever, and you know, they'll email me and they'll be like, wow, that really resonated, I hope you're okay now. And you know, I realized like, one, I really need to update that post, but
yeah, you should.
You know,
an update.
yeah, and two, it's just, I think it's important to kind of put not just the good but the bad out there, because I mean, so many people go through completely rough patches in doing anything that they're passionate about, whether it's photography, writing, any kind of art form, really anything in business even. So, I mean, I'm never going to take the post down, even though right now, you know, maybe I read it and I cringe a little, but I'm happy that people still find me through that, and I can kind of like communicate back to them and be like, no, really, things are actually really good right now, and I didn't throw in the towel. And
I actually read that post again just recently because I was thinking about that, and it is a good post. I would hate that you would even think of taking it down or cringe reading it. It's a great post, and the comments are really interesting to read too. To read the things that people had to add and their experiences that they shared. But I think it would be really interesting too, also, like if you did an update, if you did a post and you kind of said like, this is how it's, and then you can link to it like as an update in that post.
I think that's a great idea.
Lets people find it.
Yeah.
You know?
That is a great idea. Just going like, hey, look what I almost dropped the towel, and look what is going on now. So you don't give up the hope. And lately, I've been on the same kind of path, going like, what is this taking me? You know, this is my second job because I work for Samsung. I've been working for Samsung for almost 17 years. So photography is not my full-time job, but I work for Samsung. Then I open my photography business, and then Drink and Click come along. So that's a third job, pretty much, even though it doesn't pay any bills. But it's another job to maintain all this other stuff. So it's just like, don't drop the towel. Just keep going with it, and just make partnerships, and then talk to people, and then see what can come out of it.
It's really all about people too. I mean, when a lot of people ask me, they're like, what is the secret? And honestly, so much of it comes down to, I firmly believe that the online world is great, and it's great to make connections online, but I think the real beauty is in having those connections online but going offline with them. And, you know, or even meeting with people face-to-face, like through Hangout, or meeting people in person, like when I met Lotus, or we did the panel. And it's so valuable having those experiences. And you know, you can have those experiences now with stuff like Google Plus or any of the other social media, where you can find people who have similar interests or are going through similar things. But I think the real value comes in actually going offline with those connections and fostering those really great friendships and kind of helping each other out and, like, you know, going through the journey together.
Totally agree with you. It's just so different just to talk to somebody online and then meet them and then shake their hand and then look in their eye and then just have a conversation on it. And it's just the whole thing of the drink and click was like, when you do a photo walk, you go to a photo walk from A to B, and maybe you don't get to meet the person who planned the photo walk because it's just from A to B and then it's done. Move along. But in Drink and Click, you get to sit down, have a drink, and then really have a conversation with people. And that has brought out the people from Olympus and the people from Nikon that we've done events with. And you got actually to shake hands and try their gear and then talk about, you know, possibilities and what else can build from that. So I totally agree with you that you have to get offline sometimes and just meet people and shake their hands and then just talk and have a drink and then just talk, you know, have a conversation. So
now, Vivienne, so I was going through the work that you had posted online, and you've made some very interesting connections. I noticed that you actually provided artwork for a Ryan Adams single, and I think another piece of music. How did that come about?
So actually, and that's interesting, the Ryan Adams single artwork was a photo I took with the point and shoot, the crappy point and shoot.
Isn't that
actually
just mind-blowing to you too? Like, you're like, really?
Yeah, I mean, that was very early on. That was like one of the lucky things that happened really early. And in fact, that was one of the things that made me really want to upgrade, because I realized how I was limited. But yeah, like a lot of that. So like the Ryan Adams thing, they just approached me. They found me. They found my website through, I guess, searching on Google, and he ended up looking through images I had taken during a blizzard like years ago, and liked it, and they asked if they could use it, and I said, yeah. So
something that I thought of when you were saying that he found you, or they found you through your website.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, when we've kind of chatted back and forth, you've mentioned that over the years you've been really kind of obsessed with SEO and like keyword tagging, and so it's not like you were like, oh, they just kind of found it's you put in
no.
I just wanted to make that point too, though, that like you definitely put in a lot of work to make that something that could happen, you know, reasonably well, because you'd spent so much time keywording and making sure that, you know, if somebody's looking for something, they will find you when they Google it or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I did that from very early on, actually, and it's something that I've spoken about publicly in terms of like getting your work out there in general. Like, we have so many tools that we can use, and one of the best ones really is Google, because, I mean, the majority of my clients really have come from people who have either found me via Google Images, and that was based on the keywords that I used on Flickr for my photos, or even via my websites. Or they found my SmugMug portfolio, where I definitely am all about descriptions and proper titles and all of that. Yeah, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in terms of keywording. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. I think that we kind of still live with this myth that if we are brilliant enough and super passionate enough, people will just find us magically and like knock on our door and ask to do things. But you know, the reality really is that you need to kind of give that a push, and you need to make sure that people can find you, and also you need, beyond that, if you really are thinking of seriously doing photography as a business, you need to learn how to ask people for things and kind of foster connections with clients or with people who you do want to work with.
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
That
You
is,
can't just like wait around and hope that
it's actually funny that you mentioned the keywording, because I don't do, I post on Flickr, I post here on Google Plus, I post on Facebook, everywhere. But I don't, the only place I put keywords is on 500px.
Really?
And yeah, so I need to start doing more the Flickr keywording and just let people find the stuff. It's not that my stuff doesn't get out, it does get out, but I think the keywording is a good tip for somebody who is posting on Flickr, who is posting on Facebook. Now that they have the hashtag thing, it will get you a lot more answers and interaction with your posts.
Well, I mean, I think that the most valuable tool is Google Plus, as much as people like to dog it and say that it's a ghost town and absolutely awful or whatever. You know, I think that people forget that Google Plus is Google, and that you know, when you do use hashtags on Google, it's very powerful, especially if you set up Google authorship to your blog. It basically boosts all of those keyword terms for your blog, which is amazing. There's no other tool that can do that for you on Google. And so it's a way to do things without spending tons of money on ads. I mean, I never had money. I was always chronically very, very, very broke and poor. So, I mean, keywording for me was like one of the huge ways for me to kind of try to get myself out there without having the money or the financial means to like take out Google ads or take out Facebook ads or whatever.
Yeah. So
I don't keyword at all, and I'm just waiting for Nikon to call.
Say that again? What was that?
Nothing. There's just a terrible joke. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the calls to come in.
Because of your keywording, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than just keywording, though. It's also about descriptions and rich content. I mean, I think, you know, kind of like over the last few years, a lot of websites like Flickr, Google+, Facebook, 500px, we've kind of moved into this weird era of the photos are the main attraction, and they kind of take up a lot of space, and text keeps getting crunched really, really, really tiny. But the truth is that text actually matters, and it, you know, it helps that I love to write. I am a writer, but I've also always written quite a bit when it comes to my blogs. So my travel blog or my New York City blog, like I'll always write about history or what I love about photography, or even creative writing about whatever I'm posting about, and all of that helps to some extent. So, I mean, I think that words are just so powerful in terms of getting yourself out there.
You know what I like about... Go ahead, man.
When Brad and I were... Sorry, Juan. When Brad and I were planning a trip, like where should we go, he was like, there's this amazing photographer on Tumblr that I found, and she blogs all this stuff about New York, and so that's how we chose to go to New York, because we were Googling places to go, and we found your blog, and it was just gorgeous. And then
I didn't know that.
Like, oh, let's follow Vivienne, and we started tweeting you and talking, and it led to like this epic 30-mile trek of Manhattan.
Then we hung out, and that was a great example of an offline connection.
Yeah, keywording was like, oh, let's go here, and now Brad's like dying to get back. So
yeah, I had a great time. Mandy came to visit with Brad, and I mean, they wanted to see everything, and so the group we were with was just like, sure, let's go everywhere, literally. And I think we walked, we mapped it, and we walked something like 14 miles.
14 miles the first day. And
yeah,
we had to see everything in Manhattan in 2.5 days.
Nice.
And you showed us pretty much half of everything we wanted to see in one day, and I could barely walk by the time we got back to our hotel. It was crazy.
It was like a marathon, truly.
It is actually funny that you mentioned that how important is the Google Plus and the keywords and everything. I made a post probably a week and a half ago about me going to Disney. It's the first time I can take the kids to Disney Orlando, and I posted something and saying, "Hey parents, I'm going to Disney. I need recommendations and what should I do, what I shouldn't do." And then my niece, which she lives in Panama, she is actually gonna join me in Orlando, and she was looking for tickets today to go into Disney. And she goes to Google, and she say Disney. She search Disney tickets, and then in the first page of Google, it comes all Disney stuff, and then there's on the first page my post of I'm going to Disney. You know, it's I didn't tag anything. I didn't hashtag anything. Google did it all for me, and then it just put it on the first page. And you say, Uncle, are you? Why are you on the first page of Google search when I search Disney? It's just the advantage of the Google Plus thing. You know, they hashtag everything and they kind of put you out there. So it's just like the people that are saying that Google Plus is not, it's a ghost town and you're wasting your time and whatever. Anything that you put there goes to Google. They put it out there, you will be found. So it's just amazing. I have one more question for you. What's your favorite lens to go out shoot street photography? No landscape, because landscape is...
The 24-70 2.8 is like the best lens ever. Like that lens is, I think I used it all of last year for almost everything that I shot. Everything from like long exposures to street photography to like random landscapes. Yeah, everything. That's definitely my go-to lens.
So is that your widest lens?
No, actually when I travel now I shoot with the 16-35.
Okay.
Which I love. I love that lens.
Is that the 1635 Sony?
It's the Zeiss lens.
Okay.
So Zeiss does all the amazing lenses with Sony, and it's just like crazy glass. But yeah, I love the 16-35, especially for like when I'm traveling and I'm doing interiors. It just comes in handy. You know, you want to be able to get that ultra wide view, and you need that like. It's very fast as well. It's 2.8. So
I just got the 14 millimeter 2.8. It's a Rokinon, which has a chip that tells you when you're in focus. So it's a pretty good lens. I'm actually really happy with it, and I'm waiting for the right time to go outside of Austin and then just shoot the Milky Way and stars, whatever you can see here. But I'm liking the wide thing. I think the wide, you know, you shouldn't limit yourself to 24-70, and I think you should go wider than that. I have the 24-70 Nikon, and it's not enough for me to see. So
I just love the 24-70. There's something about that lens and like the image quality that's just really brilliant to me. But yeah, the 16-35, especially for travel. I mean. I'm pretty much using that most of the time these days.
We have a question from Deshaun Craddock for you, Vivienne. He asked, have you faced any challenges switching from shooting urban scenes to a variety of unfamiliar landscapes?
You know, I thought it was going to be more mentally challenging for me. Like, for example, the Martinique trip. I would say the biggest challenge for me is my audience. A lot of people who follow me on Tumblr, for example, really love my New York City photography to the point that they're like die-hard, you know, cityscape fanatics. So I think when I went to Paris and I shot like castle interiors and castles and like stuff that was completely outside of the realm of what people were used to seeing, I was really freaked out that either it wasn't going to get any response at all or that like people would just be really turned off by it. But actually the response has been great, and I feel like I've picked up kind of a different audience along the way. But I would say the biggest challenge is kind of trying to balance everything out, because I have been traveling a lot and I do post a lot when I travel. And so sometimes it's like when I get back, like for example, I've been back for a week or so and I'm leaving again. You know, I've made sure to post New York City photography because one, I miss it, and two, I kind of feel like I need to connect in that way with the people who actually are devoted to New York City.
Following you, or maybe they've gone, the people that followed you early on really did want to see that stuff.
Right.
To not lose track of that early passion too, right?
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So Vivienne, are you leaning more towards like I think there's a difference of landscape, like Kobe Brown does. You know, landscape is waterfall, big field, everything, or more like a city landscape. Are you more leaning towards like Paris? Like when you Paris trip, it was more of a Paris scene, and you know, more like a touristy kind of what you can do in the city.
Well, I mean, I think that my New York City photography could be classified as touristy. I'm obsessed with kind of like the icons that people gravitate towards, because I'm really obsessed with notions of nostalgia. So for me, a lot of what I do involves tones. So a lot of my interest with photography resides in editing my photos and kind of bringing out the feelings I get when I view a scene. So if it's a cityscape in Paris, or if it's a castle, or if it's a castle landscape, the grounds of a castle, or in Martinique, it was beautiful beaches and I was in rainforests and all over the place, really. But, you know, so for me, it's less about maybe. Actually, that's a really bad way to put it. So there's kind of like two different components. It's what I'm photographing. So it could be a beach, or it could be a cityscape. It could be the Empire State Building. And then the second component is making that scene sing in the same way that it sang to me. So how I felt when I was looking at that beach scene, or how I felt when I was looking at the Empire State Building, and what that made me think of and what it made me write, and all the memories it dredged up, and all the things I had in my head, maybe the things I expected to see with that beach scene, you know, when I fantasized about it for years or something. That's what I'm trying to actually draw out of my photography. So I think it has less to do with like focusing on, I'm only going to go and shoot waterfalls and like brilliant landscapes in Iceland and blah blah blah. You know, like less to do with that and more to do about with, you know, wherever I am at the time, I'm trying to really kind of evoke certain emotions and feelings from the scene.
It is actually funny because every time I title a picture and I post it on Google Plus or Facebook or whatever, every time I title it, it's just what I felt at that time, or what I think that scene was giving me when I was looking through it. So it's just interesting because I'm asking you this because I'm from Venezuela. Venezuela has a very hard time going on right now, and they're having some political unrest. But I have really good friends. They do tours on Angel Falls, and they can fly you to the top of Angel Falls in a helicopter and leave you there for a night. And then you can take pictures of whatever. I mean, you can do these amazing things. But
are you inviting me?
Well, actually, it would be interesting if we can make something with Sony, and maybe we can get something to go down to Angel Falls. And
I'm sure the government of Venezuela has a little bit of tourism money.
Yeah, they do. So, I mean, Venezuela is very interesting. I think it will be really hard to go in right now, but my friend lives there, and I grew up with him, and he has a tour company, and he can arrange, if you want to sleep in the top of Angel Falls with a queen bed or a king bed, and just have somebody playing with a piano, he will arrange it. So it's just it is amazing what you can do down there. It's crazy.
And the lesson here is to do more hangouts for everybody who's watching, because this is the stuff that happens in Hangout.
Exactly. But Venezuela is actually on my list, and I'm actually planning to maybe in a year or 2 years, whenever the situation gets better there, I'm actually planning a photographer trip to down to Angel Falls. So that's something to look forward to, and I think it'll be interesting to get something, a big group, maybe 20 people to go to Angel Falls in South America and Venezuela, and then just lay down your stuff and lay down your gear and enjoy the time and take beautiful pictures of these amazing place that a lot of people haven't seen. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be interesting.
Let me jump in here. We've got another question from a viewer. I want to be able to get that in before we have to move on. The question is, what are your views on post-processing? Where do you draw the line?
I don't. There's no line for me. I'm obsessed with post-processing. I come from a painting background, and I come from a more like a fine art painting background. So for me, photography has always, always, always been about, again, trying to bring out emotions that I'm feeling and trying to evoke certain feelings. And so I am not, for the most part, photographing something and trying to show it maybe how it really is. I'm trying to show how it looks in my head, and the only way that I can do that is to edit, and I love editing. Like for me, the art of photography and the pure enjoyment comes after I've already taken the photos, and when I come back and when I can work on them and listen to music and get in the zone and write about it, like that's where I get the most joy. So I mean, the post-processing question, I love it. I love it. I don't think there's a line. I love experimenting. So, yeah.
It is actually funny that you say that. Editing is I sit down, lay down on the lazy boy, get my laptop, get a drink, of course, and then I just lay down and pick a picture and then just go at it. And whatever I feel like it should be added to it, then just add it and post it. If people like it, good. If they don't like it, they don't like it. So I post what I want.
If I never had to edit photos ever again after a photo shoot, I'd be so happy. I'd be like, here, just take all your pictures. I don't want to edit.
I think
I love that. I
think it's different for portraiture, though, when you're dealing like with mass amounts of like portraits or that sort of thing. I mean, you're kind of running into the realm of like tedious retouching territory, which is not maybe as fun as like, wow, I'm just gonna play around with this image forever and like do whatever, you know.
You just can't tweak people enough to make them look how they think they should look. And way overboard, and it's if I never have to edit again, I'd be so happy.
Vivienne, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your book.
Mm-hmm.
If you can tell us a little bit about it, and what is it, and when is it gonna come to light, and just bring it out.
Sure. The name of the book is New York Through the Lens. It's named after my blog. It's just all my writing and my photos. That's it. So it is a tabletop book that has a very large amount of my New York City photography, but also my writing paired with it. So that was an interesting process, definitely, to kind of do that. And in fact, I'm still in the editing stages with the publishing company, which has been a great process and very educational. But the book is coming out it should be the autumn of this year, so it'll be released by the time all the holidays come out, and it'll be in bookstores and online.
Oh, perfect. So you can download it.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm super psyched. Super psyched. I mean, they gave me a lot of creative license with the deal, which is I feel very lucky and fortunate with that, definitely, because I don't think that happens very often. So it's been an interesting process to kind of think about, like, how things flow in a book form and how writing flows in a book form with photos versus a blog. So it's been cool.
So before we move on to our panelists, how about if you show us a few of your images and let's go through some and see, because we haven't actually looked at any of your photos on the show tonight. So let's go through some favorites that you have ready to go, and
Sure.
tell us a little bit about a few of them.
Okay, I am going to attempt to screen share and not crash.
It's gonna
Here we
happen
go.
completely smoothly.
Praying. Okay. Nope, that is the wrong thing. Okay, I'm starting the screen share. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yay! Oh, I'm so happy. All right.
You've been cursed with screen shares in the past, so.
Goodness, I really have. I think this is the first successful one, actually. So kudos to Drink and Click. So this is a photo. I've been doing a lot of photography in snowstorms and blizzards over the last few years. We had quite a lot of snow this past winter, but this was actually taken last year. But I actually went through all of my photos from the year previous after shooting in the snow this year, and this was one of the ones that I kind of re-edited and found, because this was actually a throwaway from last year, and I found it, and I absolutely loved the people in it and the magical feeling of being in the snow in New York City at night when there's just all this wind and impossible stuff going on.
How could that be a throwaway?
I'd gone through the photos and I took a zillion photos, and there's just a point when I choose like maybe 10 that are keepers, and I think I had chosen 10 from that huge set, and then when I went back through them, sometimes you don't know what's going to be great until you start editing it, and this was one of the ones that I think I initially looked at it in color and I just thought, nah. But
that is actually very, very key. If you look at a picture and you don't like it in color, switch it to black and white and see what kind of feeling it gives you. And then edit it in black and white. It's a totally different experience. It's just amazing.
Totally. This is a very recent photo, actually. There's an area in Brooklyn called Bushwick, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's one of those up-and-coming quote-unquote neighborhoods that everyone either loves or hates right now. But the really great thing about it is that there's a ton of street art there, because there is something called the Bushwick Collective. And I'd gotten the A7R, and it was really new to me, and I took it out to test it, and this was one of the first images that I took with it. And I'm in love with like the quality. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And it's just a really great neighborhood. Like, I absolutely love the feeling of the neighborhood, and so much of the street art is just incredible. There's so many stories that are told.
You know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at the detail of the little bricks, like one brick to one brick. It's just a little detail of it. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, the image quality is insane. Insane. This was for a client. This is actually above Times Square, and it was really cool. I'd actually never seen this vantage point in my life before, and I took this I think this was taken right after I got back from Paris, so it was relatively recent, and I just love it. It reminds me a lot of the movie Blade Runner, which is one of my favorite movies. And I just love the lights and all the traffic and all the crazy stuff that's going on in this photo. This is another photo of not so much street art. I guess this would be more graffiti, but this is a great rooftop in the Two Bridges neighborhood of Manhattan. Awesome. And this was during a really great, brilliant early spring sunset. So the weather was still kind of cold. There's like very few leaves on the branches still, and I just love the feeling.
It is beautiful. There. It's just like I imagine one guy going on that rooftop, jumping on a skateboard.
I was thinking parkour.
Parkour would be great there, because there's actually more rooftops that are connected. I've never actually seen people on these rooftops ever, even though there's clotheslines and there's clothes there usually.
Yeah,
But
that is awesome.
yeah. This was taken this past winter. This is Times Square, and it was another blizzard slash snowstorm. You know, one of those crazy snowstorms that gets named, and everyone is in an uproar about why are we naming snowstorms. Yeah. But I mean, it was just really beautiful. I walked all the way up to Times Square because I had this idea in my head of like capturing this specific scene, and I just kind of like waited there for the traffic and for like the right two people to pass across the street. So that was fun.
That is beautiful.
This was another snowstorm this past winter. It's one of my favorite blocks in my neighborhood, and it was just such a beautiful night. I mean, it was blisteringly cold, the wind gusts were like 60 miles an hour, but I just absolutely love the lights on this street and how it feels like a cocoon, and it's just warm even though it's cold. And it's
so you're sticking with the 24/70 on that, and then of course to stop the snow coming down, are you sticking to what, 125, 200, 250?
Yeah, I think this was shot at, most of my night blizzard shots are at ISO 4000s.
Yeah.
Like this, I think this one was like ISO 2000, or maybe even less because of all the light.
Yeah.
Usually for something like this, the shutter speed's probably like 125.
Okay. 125.
Yeah, I don't go too crazy with it.
Yeah, 125 and then just up the ISO. I mean, the Sony has such a good capability with the ISO that you can set up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been spoiled with that. And this was actually a snowstorm the week before that one, and I was specifically trying to do an homage to one of my favorite movie posters in existence, which is the Woody Allen movie Manhattan. So I specifically like walked in this crazy blizzard all the way up to this spot just to see if I could get this shot, and I'm super happy with it.
You're awesome. I love that.
Oh, and I almost killed myself too because right behind me, like, it's not apparent, but the snow is actually all the way up to my knee, and it's a really weird area where there's steps everywhere, but I couldn't see them, so I was kind of fumbling around, and thankfully nobody else was around, so nobody had to see that. But this is one of my favorite streets in downtown Manhattan. It's East Broadway. I think this was the same sunset as the one of the graffiti rooftops. It was that really cold spring, early spring, late winter sunset.
That is amazing light.
Beautiful, cold, warm light,
yeah,
which I love.
And were we shooting just handheld, or were you just...
Yeah, no, any day shot is usually handheld.
Okay.
All my blizzard shots are handheld, of course, because there's just no way that I could be shooting that quickly using a tripod.
Yeah, exactly.
This was yet another snowstorm. This is a great kind of row of completely insane Indian restaurants in the East Village that have literally lights that are hanging down. And they're great. I mean, that's like my favorite type of restaurant. I love spectacle. But it was really great to kind of see it in the snow. I don't think, I mean, I've been obsessed with these windows and all of these lights for ages, but I kind of wanted to get that feeling in the snow. So this is my little homage to that. This is another snowstorm. We got a lot of snow.
Oh man, like I need to go to New York on December.
Yeah, we were just inundated with snow, lots of it. This is one of my favorite sort of stretches of 2nd Avenue in the East Village because it just reminds me of being a child and like that great feeling you get when you're in the snow if you grew up in a place with snow and you were a kid and like looking up at a movie marquee and just sort of like the endless possibilities of everything.
It is just great that you can go from the screen, I mean from the movie theater screen to the guy walking on the sidewalk to the guy crossing the street. It's like your eye just wander between those 3 points, at least to me. So
And I love the guy in the box office who actually, like, so I waited for the right combo of people, but I didn't notice the man in the box office was staring, sort of side-eyeing me.
Like, what is that crazy bitch doing out there?
And truthfully, when I shoot in blizzards, I look completely insane. Like, I have this crazy, like, hooded thing that I wear. I've got a ski mask that I wear because, I mean, the conditions are insane.
Yes.
I have these huge gloves. I've got touchscreen gloves on under them. Like a huge, huge winter boots with, like, furry, like, tops. And I just look like I'm on an Arctic expedition. So I'm sure he was like, what is she doing?
That is just beautiful, Vivienne. That is, and thank you so much for sharing all those shots with us. Have you any of the shots that you show us? They are in color. Are you thinking of switching into black and white? I think I can see some black and white, especially on the last one.
I have actually. So a lot of the snow ones. It's funny because, like, I don't really consider doing black and white initially because, like, every time I'm in the snow, I'm just loving the warmth of the color. But people, have approached me and they want it in black and white, for, like, either ads or for other things. And then I end up converting it and loving it in black and white more. And yeah, so I have actually converted a lot of them to black and white.
Awesome. So Lotus, I think thank you, Vivienne, for sharing your pictures. And Lotus, I think we're going to share some of the panelists' images.
Yes, we always have on wonderful photographers as our panelists as well, so we like to see some of their work as well.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. I've never been called wonderful photographer before.
You're a fantastic, wonderful, awesome photographer, Tyson. But we're going to start with Patrick. So Patrick, are you ready to screen share a few of your images and talk a little bit about them?
I'll give that a try here and see if I can do this correctly. Hurry it up, Patrick. Screen share. Oh, don't tell me I haven't.
You got it.
It went, okay. So, so yeah, I didn't get to go to New York or Paris or any places like this. But from my few travel excursions earlier in the year, I got a couple of shots from. This is actually from going to Texas earlier this year at the Baker Hotel in Mineral Springs.
Oh, nice.
And got out there, and it was nice enough to see that some of the fence had been pulled down to the point where walking onto the grounds didn't seem like a big deal. Got to hang out there for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes before law enforcement showed up and asked us to leave. Even though they agreed it was a very picturesque location, so we had fun out there. The other place I went this year was out in Florida. This is at the Dry Tortugas National Park.
Okay.
So if you go to Key West and you take a 2.5-hour boat ride, you end up at a place called Fort Jefferson, which I knew zero about. And if you live in the desert like me, and they put you on a boat for 2.5 hours on 6-foot seas, even if, you have overdosed on seasick medication, it's still not the most pleasant ride. But once you get out there, it's actually a very cool place, and it's this old fort that was built in the Civil War days.
Oh, cool.
And we spent some time out there, taking a few shots and walking around. It was actually cold, and there was a 25-mile-an-hour wind, which was really howling when you were on the roof of this place trying to get some of these shots. But it was a fun time.
Those are neat places to be in. There's one called Fort Macon on the North Carolina coast that I visited several times as a child because I grew up in coastal North Carolina, and it's similar like to the shots that you're showing. They're really cool places to walk through and explore and to think about times past, what was going on in the very places that you're standing. It's really neat.
I
Yeah.
like your titles.
Oh, the title's showing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Thank you.
This shot is really great. I love this.
This was one. So when Vivienne was talking about post-processing earlier, this is one of those that I tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, and I learned something new with post-processing in Lightroom, where you can actually like selectively pick certain colors and try and emphasize them in a photo. And I don't think I'd done that before, and I really had a good time doing that with this.
Cool.
But it was a great place to visit and fun to. I almost couldn't wait to get home with the shots to be able to, get them on the screen and actually work with them for a while. So that's what I have. A couple shots from traveling this year, and I hope I'll get to do a little more traveling through the latter half of the year.
Do you travel often? Because I notice it seems like you've been all over. I've seen you post shots from little trips and stuff.
Yeah. So some of that is, the Facebook effect makes it look like I travel more than I do.
Okay.
But I do a certain amount of getting out on the road, and it's not uncommon, depending on what's happening in life, to jump in the car and drive to Key West and back. Which
Awesome.
I've actually been in Florida twice this year already.
Yeah. See, there you go. That's nice.
So we'll see what the rest of the year has.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing your shots. Yeah. All right, up next, let's see what Mandy Sloan's got going on.
All right. Okay, here we go. So I do mostly kids and families and people, and I've been shooting a lot of babies lately, which is like,
Look at the baby.
This is your bread and butter, right? This is what you do for work. Yeah.
Yeah. So this like totally makes my ovaries explode, and I need babies, and so this is
somebody calling you?
This is a really good friend of mine. She just had a baby, and I love to spoil them. And then this family I've watched grow, and I've photographed Kara and her husband pre-kids, and then with their first kid, and then newborn pictures, and so it's a lot of fun getting to watch families evolve, and these little kids can run like crazy, and it's like a total workout.
So what kind of bribery props do you bring to a shoot with you? What children effects do you have?
I lay down on the ground and make funny faces and go crazy and get dirty and just talk to them and get down on their level, and it really works.
Cool.
I think I'm gonna try to do like an iPhone playing SpongeBob or Dora attached to where like my flash would go in a hot shoe apparatus.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
I think that's like a Kickstarter.
My next like thing that I'll try, but like this guy was totally cute, and I was laying on hardwood floor and making crazy faces, and he was just adorable. So again, this is Mia, and she was so cute, and I had so much fun shooting her. And then this is another little baby boy, and I also get a lot of enjoyment out of creating props. So I actually made the hat for him and sell those in an Etsy shop. So that's
cool.
That's great.
Making up props, and then you're getting some.
Yeah. So that's what I have. That's what I do.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mandy. It's just funny because I also seen some families grow in front of my lens, and it's just nice that they keep coming every year, and then you see the kids getting a little bit older, and you get attached to the families.
the only part about editing that I like are like these baby pictures where they've just got these crazy cute faces, and I could click and look at those for days. They just make me smile and my heart just flutter.
Baby.
You're just going, oh, you.
Yeah. You guys get all passionate about landscapes and like big sweeping awesome, and I like little baby noses.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, sweet. Thanks for sharing what you've been up to, Mandy. I knew that you had started doing your portrait photography full time a while back. It's really cool to see that you're still doing that and it's working well for you.
I've been almost a year full-time freelance photography. So
rock on.
That's great.
Yeah.
And now, a wonderful photographer, Tyson Jerry.
From the far land of Canada.
I understand. You want to leave the best for last, Lotus.
It's not right through me.
I totally get it. So, I did have an album prepared. That was actually we just finished shooting their wedding. I don't really want to show an engagement shoot, so I'm going to just show a trip that I did last summer, and I'm going to do another similar trip. I hope to actually get into the bush more than once this summer. So
if you need to get to the bush more than once, it's always welcome. If you know what I mean.
Don't know what that means.
No idea. What are you talking about? Could you please explain? We don't understand.
Okay, so here we go. So can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this was a trip with my buddy Paul Bogowitz. It was actually quite easy to do. I like to cheat whenever I can to get on top of mountains and just take gondolas up or ski lifts. So the back end of Whistler, you can access Garibaldi Park, which spans for just kilometers and kilometers, which just seem to go on forever. And once you're up there, you're already in the Alpine, and then you can hike in for days if you want. So we did a hike in and camped overnight, and this is the sunset. So there's there we go. There we go.
So you're in Canada, so you're not afraid of camping there and just getting a grizzly to just eat the crap out of you?
It's a possibility that we constantly have to live with.
Do you take like a shotgun or something?
No, I think we have bear spray. It's fine. You're not, depending on the type of the year or the time of the year, you're not necessarily going to see grizzlies.
Oh.
Just take a friend with you that can't run as fast.
Yeah.
That's right. You just have to run fast.
That'll bear stop the slowest one.
Hey, it's always good to take a fat one. They can run as fast as you, and you just kind of elbow them out, and then grizzly gets them. Yeah.
You just punch them dead in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so most of these shots actually were taken within the span of about an hour.
Wonderful colors in this. I love it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of post happening there.
Just a little. I love it. The color combination is really beautiful.
Here's my buddy Paul. I think he was a little overwhelmed with the wildflowers.
He matches them. It's so cute.
Paul is a little bit of a wildflower.
Oh.
But that's pretty much exactly where we pitched our tents that evening.
Nice.
So
oh my goodness.
What a background.
Yeah.
There's the tent. The very typical tent and Milky Way shot. You have to have at least one of those.
Hey, you got it. You got it.
No, that's a wonderful,
I don't have one of those.
wonderful shot. Yeah, I don't have one.
I don't have one of those.
Oh, okay. Well, I do.
Meanie.
And then there's another Milky Way shot through the trees.
So you're shooting this. How wide are you going on this? Is this?
I believe this would be about 18 millimeter. That's the widest I have. I'd like to get something else that's a bit wider, but yeah.
I will wish that they look so beautiful here in Texas. It's just you have to get far away. You have to go to like Big Bend and something really dark to get something like that. But it's just amazing.
Yeah, you guys are kind of surrounded by cities and lights. It's we're really fortunate up here.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going over there this year. So.
Absolutely. Are you coming to Vancouver?
Yes, I'm planning to go to Vancouver, and actually I'm planning to fly to Seattle, and then have a drink and click in Seattle, and then rent a car and drive to Vancouver, and then have a drink and click in Vancouver, and then get eaten by a grizzly or something.
Well, we can always try for that.
Exactly. Maybe I get some grizzly spray or whatever you said.
Yep, some bear spray. Absolutely. It's just made. I'm sure you can just buy that on the open market down in the States. Just bring up your revolver. You'll be fine. Nice.
Exactly. Yeah, because we all Americans have revolvers.
That's right.
And flying with them is so easy.
Well, thank you, Tyson. Those pictures are amazing. I'm so jealous that you guys have such a beautiful stuff to get out and shoot. It's like Texas. You have to drive 6-7 hours to get out of it. We're in jail. We're in Texas.
I'm happy. I got some tequila and some tacos.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'm good.
Yeah. So Lotus, next we are going to announce the winners.
Indeed. We are going to announce the winners, and I'm going to be screen sharing.
Perfect. And you're going to do this.
We're going to start with, we have 3 winners. We're going to start with 3rd place and move our way to 1st.
We're going with 3rd place, and our 3rd place winner, they won Lotus. I always struggle on this.
Oh, but, are you pronouncing the name? Are you scared?
Well, no, I think I can do it. Aniruddha Malik.
I'd guessed Aniruddha Malik.
Malik.
We'll see which one of us wins that.
That is a beautiful picture from Tokyo, and that's Drink and Click Tokyo. And the last month challenge was long exposure. I love it because if you look right here on, are you screen sharing right now?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see right here on the tree. It's just beautiful. It just looks like a little computer kind of thing going on in Tokyo. And actually, being on that station, I think that's one of the subway stations, which is amazing.
And what was the prize for the 3rd place winner? Was that the Stuck in Customs prize?
That is the Stuck in Custom prize, I think. Oh my goodness, I always get it all mixed up.
We had Smug Mug, Lumoid, and Stuck in Customs. I know those were our sponsors.
That is Stuck. It's that's Stuck in Customs. $20 off of any of the presets or any of the stuff they sell on their website.
Wait, so now we're gonna go to 2nd place?
Yes, and 2nd place is Jacob Lucas.
All right.
This is actually from Seattle, and he's one of the leads over there. And what I love about this picture is just that you can follow that whole highway and then go in between the buildings.
Right into the city.
I know, it's just
there.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, and it's just the blue, and you can see the subtle lines of the stoplights of the car, and then one's coming this way. It's just amazing. I love that picture.
And so this was the Lumoid prize, right?
That was the Lumoid prize, and that's a $30 credit to rent any of their gear. They rent anything you can imagine, from lights to cameras to lenses.
Sweet. So here comes 1st place. You ready?
Yes. And 1st place is, oh my goodness, Ajinka Gote.
Good try.
I think that works. And this is from Germany. If I'm not wrong, I think that's Berlin. It's just beautiful. It's just you can kind of see the panic of the people going on the spinning wheel.
They're about to fly off. I love carnival
Yeah.
long exposures.
Oh,
They make me
and
happy.
it's
They're
like
so
after I saw that picture, I'm going like I have to go to the next Texas rodeo and take
Oh
my
yeah.
tripod and get something.
So this was our Smug Mug winner, right?
That was our Smug Mug, and they win a 1-year account from Smug Mug, which I have an
Love
account
Smug
with
Mug.
them, and I love Smug Mug, and
Yeah.
can't go wrong with that. So
So that's
congrats-
that.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations to the winners from the last month, May long exposure challenge.
Yeah. And then this month we're doing.
This month we're doing gold and blue hour, so you can wake up early, which I don't do. Well, maybe if the kids wake up early and they wake me up. But I usually do drinking clicks late in the afternoon, so I'll be doing blue or golden.
Gold.
There you go.
We're doing
Yeah,
gold. Yeah.
There you go.
So you get the twilight hours, the hour.
Exactly.
And there's nifty if you just Google calculate blue hour calculator for gold hour, you'll find there's like little nifty sites you can go to, and it'll tell you exactly when those time frames are in your area. So those are cool.
Exactly. Yeah, those are pretty handy.
And this month's sponsors are Black Rapid,
Yeah.
CT Digital Photography, and Think Tank Photo. So those are the prizes that'll be given away
Yes.
to the winners for this month.
Yeah. So everybody knows we just added our fourth city in Germany,
Yay!
and we just added our fourth city in Texas,
Wow.
which is Houston.
With Germany. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is just I want to get on a plane and fly and go to all these places and maybe photograph the oldest bar they have in each city. And I think it'll be awesome just to get.
How many chapters are there now?
We are up to 34 chapters. So we have 34 cities, and it's just funny because you get the whole drink and click thing, and then once you do the drink and click, your network grows, and you get to meet this whole group of people, and you become really good friends with them. And every week you're sending messages and saying, you want to go shoot today, and let's go together and have a drink, and then even if it's not an event, you go out and do something. So
That's very true. Everybody in Vancouver at the Drink and Click got to meet me, so.
yeah, so it's pretty fun. So I wanna thank all the panelists, and I wanna thank Vivienne Gucwa for being with us today, and all your pictures are amazing, and Vivienne, I'm very proud of you. It's just amazing that you got into this group of selected Sony Artisan Imagery people, and I look forward to seeing more of your work and see what goes from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I haven't done one of these in a really long time.
I'm so glad you came on. I'm so honored. Your story is so great, and I love talking to you about your photography. So it's been really nice. We could have talked for a lot longer.
Oh yeah. So Mandy and Patrick, and of course Lotus and Tyson, and of course our guest Vivienne. Thank you so much for being with us. And if you,
Don't forget next month.
Next month
Our show next month.
is gonna be in July.
July 16th.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody should not forget to tune in on July 16th when our special guest will be this woman I met once. Her name is Athena Carey.
Oh.
Oh, just once, right?
Oh my goodness.
I've talked to her a few times.
Just one.
So it'll be awesome. She's actually going to be here.
Yeah. Which it'll be great because I can finally meet her. So.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
But yeah, if there's not a Drink and Click in your city, just send us an email at drinkandclick.com, gmail.com, and we can set something up in your city. And I hope to see you next time. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys, for being on and for watching.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.